The Killer Clown, the full story of John Wayne Gacy. In the quiet suburbs near Chicago during the 1970s, families believed they were living in one of the safest places in America. But hidden behind the walls of one ordinary house lived a man who would become one of the most terrifying serial killers in history. His name was John Wayne Gacy. At first glance, Gacy seemed like the perfect citizen. He was a successful contractor who owned a construction business. He was active in local politics and often hosted parties for neighbors. But what made him especially memorable was his clown costume. Gacy dressed as a character he created called Pogo the Clown. Children laughed, parents trusted him. Nobody suspected that behind the makeup lived a monster. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17, 1942, in Chicago. His childhood was far from normal. His father was known to be violent and abusive. He constantly insulted and humiliated him. Gacy grew up feeling rejected and desperate to prove himself. As a teenager, he struggled socially, but nobody imagined how dark his future would become. In the 1960s, Gacy moved to Waterloo, where he worked as a restaurant manager. He seemed successful, but in 1968, police arrested him for assaulting a teenage boy. He was convicted and sent to prison. While in prison, he behaved like a model inmate and convinced authorities he had changed. After serving part of his sentence, he was released. Many people believed he deserved a second chance, but that decision would later haunt dozens of families. After his release, John Wayne Gacy returned to the Chicago area and started his own construction company. His business often hired teenage boys and young men. And slowly, young men in the area began disappearing. At first, the disappearances didn't seem connected. Some families believed their sons had simply run away, but over time, a disturbing pattern began to appear. Gacy had developed a terrifying method. He would lure victims to his house with promises of jobs or money. Once inside, he would perform what he called a magic trick involving handcuffs. But once they were trapped, they had no chance. Investigators later revealed that Gacy murdered at least 33 young men and boys. Most of the victims were buried beneath his house in a cramped crawl space. For years, the bodies remained hidden. Neighbors reported strange smells, but Gacy explained it away as plumbing problems, and people believed him. Everything changed in 1978. A 15-year-old boy named Robert Piest suddenly disappeared. He was going to talk to a contractor about a job. That contractor was John Wayne Gacy. Police began watching him closely. Detectives noticed strange behavior and inconsistent stories. Soon they obtained a search warrant for his house. What they discovered shocked the entire country. When police searched the property, they noticed a terrible smell coming from the crawl space. As they dug deeper, the horrifying truth emerged: one body, then another, and another. Eventually, investigators discovered 29 bodies buried under the house. Several more victims were found in nearby rivers. In total, 33 victims were linked to Gacy. The case became one of the most shocking serial murder investigations. In 1980, John Wayne Gacy was brought to trial. His defense lawyers argued that he suffered from multiple personalities. But prosecutors showed overwhelming evidence. After weeks of testimony, the jury found him guilty of multiple murders. He was sentenced to death. Gacy spent 14 years on death row. During that time, he strangely began painting artwork, many of them featuring clowns. Some of these paintings were later sold, though many people considered them disturbing reminders of his crimes. Finally, on May 10, 1994, he was executed by lethal injection. His final reported words were chilling. He told authorities, "Kiss my," and just like that, one of the most infamous killers in American history was gone. The crimes of John Wayne Gacy shocked the world. It forced police to change how missing person cases were handled. It also showed how dangerous it can be when someone hides behind a mask of respectability. Because sometimes, the scariest monsters don't look like monsters at all. Sometimes, they look like the friendly clown next door.